Hey, what is up, guys? Good evening. So just following up with last night's video, I wanted to make this video because I did receive one question coming from LT Moist. I want to thank everybody that took their time to comment. I tried to reply to everybody. I tried to like everybody's comments. And if you guys want to reach out to me, you can follow my social medias, ask me a question in this video, drop it in the comments. I will be here replying to you guys. But moving on to LT Moist's question, his question is, so since we're younger, the chances of us getting the virus is really low or slim to none? Question mark. Because I'm currently a cashier at Target and I'm always worried about catching the virus since I'm highly exposed to COVID-19 and everyone who may be carrying it. I mean, I'm glad to be in the front lines of making sure American homes are fully stocked with the essentials they need to make it through this hard time while other stores are throwing in the white flag. However, at the same time, I'm very scared. So should I worry? So LT Moist, the chances of you getting the virus as compared to an elderly folk, they're going to be the same. I found two studies that gave me a little bit more insight as to how the virus progresses and who is quote unquote at risk. So the first study that I read, a total of 56 patients were evaluated. There were 18 elderly patients and 38 young and middle-aged patients. The most common symptoms in both groups were fever, cough, and sputum, which is essentially just phlegm. 4 patients in the elderly group had to be mechanically ventilated, meaning they needed help to breathe, whereas 5 patients in the young and middle-aged group needed help to breathe. 1 patient in the elderly group died, and 2 patients in the young group died. The thing that shocks me here in this study is not necessarily the people that died. It's more of the effects of the disease in the population. So in the elderly people, there was 18 people that were elderly. 16 of those 18 had multiple lobe lesions, meaning that both of their lungs had damage. Whereas in the young population, 24 out of the 38 had some sort of lesion in their lungs, in both of them. However, in the young population, 14 out of the 38, that's 36.84%, had a single lobe lesion, meaning that only one of their lungs was affected. So regardless of the age, your lungs may or may not become affected. Whether this damage is long-term or reversible, we still don't know that yet. At least this paper that I read did not have that information. But regardless, if you get the virus, you are at risk for having some sort of lung damage, and that right there is kind of scary. But don't be alarmed. A lot of the cases don't cross the severe barrier. And then that leads me to the second article, the second study, which this study tells us that there are 4 types of coronavirus infection. So one of them is mild, the other one is ordinary, the other one is severe, and finally critical cases. So mild and ordinary cases had good prognosis, but severe cases, especially those critical cases, always presented systematic organic dysfunction and prolonged hospitalization with impaired recovery. All that means is that the mild and ordinary cases, they turned out pretty good, but those that were critical cases were a little bit tougher to work with. There was 55 patients in this study, and this study focused on 55 patients that were asymptomatic, meaning that there were patients that were infected, but they didn't know that they had it. They got confirmed with a swab, and these were patients that, upon finding out they were positive, they had no symptoms, and then they were put in quarantine and isolation. So of the asymptomatic cases, 22 were male, 33 were female, and the age gap was 2 years old to 69 years old. So yes, there was a 2-year-old that was infected. The time from hospitalization to the onset of illness was 1 to 7 days, meaning that as soon as they found out they were positive, they were hospitalized. It took from either 1 to 7 days for them to to start showing symptoms. So it usually takes about 1 to 7 days. I know the CDC has been saying 2 to 14 days is the time when symptoms will appear. So just, be on the lookout for that. if you think you have the virus, 2 to 14 days, 14 days being the max, it'll tell you, okay, after 14 days, if you've been isolated, then you can say, okay, well, I don't have the virus if you don't show any symptoms. Of the 55 cases, only 7 cases had a mild cough, and 7 cases had a low fever 3 to 5 days later. 2 of the cases presented both a cough and a fever, only 2. In this study, asymptomatic infection was more common in middle-aged people. The proportion of severe type was low and ordinary type was high. All this means is that the middle-aged group had a higher incidence of it being asymptomatic, meaning that the middle-aged people, those were the ones that were that were asymptomatic. Sorry, I blanked out for a second. So to answer your question, everybody's at risk. However, the best thing to do always, never, when you're at work, don't touch your face, don't touch your mouth, don't touch your eyes, your nose, don't touch anywhere on your face while you're at work. I don't know if you guys are using gloves or not, but my recommendation is wash your hands on your breaks before you eat. Anything that you do while you're in your store, make sure to take care of yourself, and really just wash your hands. If you have hand sanitizer, use it. Soap is way better than hand sanitizer. However, you gotta use what you can use, and definitely keep your hands out of your face, and you should be fine. And finally, if anybody has any questions, guys, just send me a message, comment here. The more questions I get, the longer it's going to take me to make a video, but ultimately I will try to make a video as soon as possible. But I encourage the questions. If you guys have any questions regarding the virus, regarding really anything, my life, even anything. LT Moist asked, will you ever give Fortnite another chance? Probably not, LT, but who knows? Who knows what the future has for me? But all I know is that classes start tomorrow morning, and I'm kind of, excited to go back, I guess, online. But if you guys are out there, having to go out before you eat, before you do anything, just wash your hands and stay healthy, guys. So I really wish you guys the best. If you guys need anything, let me know. My social medias are going to be in the description. So yeah, let me know what you guys need, and I will see you guys in the next video.